He never gave up on me, not even when I gave up on us. He tried once. He tried again. And then, he made me fall in love with him all over again. My husband was like a thirsty crow, but his thirst was for my heart. Please don't forget to subscribe. And one request, please always keep a smile on your face. My name is Claire Bennett, and if you asked anyone around town, they'd tell you I was lucky. I had a husband who never gave up on his dreams, on his family, or on me. But sometimes, I wondered if his persistence bordered on obsession. They say the thirsty crow in the story never quit, dropping one pebble at a time into the jar until he could drink. That's exactly how I'd describe Tyler Bennett. Always trying, always chasing, never stopping until he got what he wanted. And sometimes, what he wanted was me. We met in college. He was that charming senior who lived down the hall, always surrounded by girls, and yet somehow always watching me. Back then, I was quiet, cautious, afraid of too much attention. He wasn't. Tyler was bold, determined, annoyingly confident. He flirted with me the first time we met in the laundry room. I pretended not to notice him watching me fold my clothes, but the way his eyes lingered made my skin flush. He asked me out 4 times before I finally said yes. That should have been the sign. He never gave up. Years later, after college, after careers, after one beautiful wedding and a small home in Seattle, I found myself waking up every morning beside the same man who used to steal glances in the laundry room. But marriage wasn't a fairy tale. We had our share of late-night arguments, silent dinners, and dreams that clashed. Still, Tyler never gave up. And that's what made the night everything changed so unforgettable. It was a Friday in late spring. The city lights outside our apartment window glimmered in the dark like stars trapped behind glass. I had just come home from work, tired, irritated, my blouse sticking to my skin from the heat. I kicked off my heels at the door, loosened my ponytail, and walked into the kitchen where Tyler stood shirtless, working on something at the stove. "Dinner's almost ready," he said without turning. I leaned against the counter, watching him. His back muscles flexed with every stir of the wooden spoon. His skin glistened lightly from the heat, his hair slightly messy, like he'd been running his fingers through it. For a second, I forgot my frustration. "You didn't have to cook," I said. He finally turned, smirking like he always did when he knew I was watching. "You look tired this morning. Thought I'd surprise you." That was Tyler. Always doing more. Always trying. Always dropping pebbles in the jar. We ate on the small balcony under string lights, our knees touching beneath the table. It was quiet, calm, but I felt the tension bubbling beneath the surface. The way he looked at me, his fingers brushing mine as he poured the wine, his foot sliding gently against my ankle. "I miss this," he said softly. I didn't answer right away. I knew what he meant. He missed us. "I know," I finally whispered. His hand found mine on the table, firm and warm. "Then let's stop missing it." We didn't rush. That wasn't his way. Tyler was a man who understood slow burn, who knew exactly when to push and when to wait. After dinner, he led me inside, his hand resting at the small of my back. I felt the heat in his touch before we even reached the bedroom. The room was dim, bathed in soft golden light from the bedside lamp. The window was open, a warm breeze rolling in, making the curtains flutter. I stood there, still in my work clothes, my breath caught in my throat as he came up behind me, his hands resting gently on my hips. "I want to remind you," he whispered against my neck, "what we have." It wasn't rushed. It wasn't wild. It was intense. Every kiss felt like a memory. Every touch a promise. He undressed me with patience, like unwrapping a gift he'd waited all day to open. And when he finally pulled me into him, it was like everything else, stress, fear, the outside world, faded away. He kissed down my collarbone, his hands exploring like he was rediscovering me. And in that moment, I realized something simple but powerful. His trying wasn't annoying. It was beautiful. Tyler had loved me in 100 little ways every day, even when I didn't notice. And now, with our bodies tangled in heat and longing, I let myself fall back into him completely. Afterward, as I lay beside him with my head on his chest, I listened to the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. He traced lazy circles on my back, and we said nothing for a long time. "I know I push," he finally said, voice low and husky. "Sometimes maybe too hard. But I'm never going to stop fighting for us. You know that, right?" I looked up at him, cupping his jaw. "You're like the thirsty crow," I whispered, smiling. "You keep trying and then you succeed." He chuckled, leaning in to kiss me again, slower this time. Damn right I do. But that wasn't the end of our night. In fact, it was only the beginning. Tyler had a way of reading me, not just my body, but my soul. He knew when to tease, when to be tender, when to take control. That night, he pulled out all of it. He started with a massage, his hands firm and purposeful, kneading out every knot of tension from my shoulders to my lower back. His fingers lingered at the edges of my waist, drifting lower with a hunger that made me shiver. I turned over slowly, looking up at him, completely exposed under his gaze. "I want to remember every inch of you," he said, voice deep and rough. And he did. It wasn't just about passion, it was about connection. The way he kissed behind my knee made me giggle, then moan. The way he traced his lips down my spine made me arch into him. He didn't stop until I was breathless, clinging to the sheets, calling his name in a voice I hadn't used in far too long. That night, Tyler made love to me like a man who had fought battles, who had won me over again and again, who never gave up even when I pushed him away. And by morning, we were tangled in sweat and sheets, smiling like two people who had rediscovered everything they'd almost forgotten. He brought me coffee in bed, hair still messy, lips swollen from kissing. Try again," I whispered, sipping the coffee. "And then succeed," he finished, stealing the cup and kissing me deeply again. Months passed. We started traveling together more, making time for each other, setting aside work and distractions. We rediscovered how to laugh together, to dream together. Our love life, once dimmed by routine, was alive again, hotter, stronger, more connected than ever. Sometimes, when we'd sneak off in the middle of the day for a quick escape, or when he'd surprise me with a blindfold and silk sheets on a Saturday night, I'd think about that thirsty crow. And I'd smile. Because in a world where so many people give up too fast, I had a husband who tried again, and then succeeded. Every time. Even now, when he walks into a room and looks at me like he did in the laundry room years ago, I still feel it. That heat, that longing, that quiet, unshakable desire. My name is Claire Bennett, and this is the story of how my husband never stopped trying for me, and how I fell for him all over again. Over and over.